We've decided to create a weekly video demonstrating what we see as the truth, which has been hidden by the mainstream media. Things are very seldom what the mainstream media tries to spin them to be. Our vision with this weekly video is to remove the spin and to share the truth as we see it. We'll share evidence of everything we see, but remember that we always want you to doubt every single thing we say. Please check everything by conducting your own research. Remember, we're definitely not infallible, and as such, our interpretation may not always be aligned with others' views or interpretation of any particular set of circumstances. If we do make mistakes, and I'm sure that we will, guys, please don't attack us. Rather put your perspective forward so that we can all start to learn from each other. Our goal is not to prescribe a new truth to you or to anybody, but to rather show you a different perspective so that you can begin to draw your own conclusions and build your own set of truths. A perfect example of this is the truth behind the 56 MPs who resigned in the UK recently. We believe that this was not only to force Boris to resign, but we believe that it could have been to remove all of these people from office because of the crimes that they've committed against children. We all know that the bank gangsters use very nefarious methods to capture people who they put into positions of power. Their prime method being the recording of these people committing horrendous crimes against children. So we're not for a moment suggesting that every single MP is guilty of such crimes, but the fact that the reason for the resignations relates to sexual crimes, we believe that one can read between the lines, or should I say, to us reveals a very, very different picture. So once again, I say, please don't accept a word that we say here, though. Do your own digging, and if you come up with a different construct, please share this with us so that we can all learn from each other. There's a link to what I'm talking about, which speaks to all of this in the comments below. Remember, don't use Google for searching. You want to rather use alternate search engines, guys, which are not captured by the deep state. So we've provided 12 alternate search engines for easy reference in the comments below. As an example of why we believe that these MPs were fired for crimes against humanity, guys, please see our thinking around NATO, which was a similar set of circumstances. So we find it very strange that a few weeks back, a group of people from NATO were also sanctioned for sexual harassment of their colleagues. It seems that this is the method that the White Hats are using to drip feed the horrendous crimes that these people have committed against children. So as we stated previously, we believe that this drip feeding of info is, in fact, the emergency broadcast system that we've all been waiting for. So as you can imagine, people need to gradually get their heads around the level of depravity that these monsters have used to carry out their plans for world domination and the continued enslavement of humanity. Guys, see the articles in the comments below demonstrating all the crimes that have been committed against children by NATO and NATO employees. India rejects calls by the United States and the European Union to boycott Russian oil. This, guys, for us is one of the greatest indicators that the bank gangsters' grip on humanity is crumbling fast. In the past, the Vatican was the command center for the bank gangsters, the City of London was their financial arm, and Washington, D.C. was their military arm. As you must be aware, the United States military has been capable of spending more than all nations combined on their military buildup. And the reason for this was that they've controlled the world reserve currency since 1971, and as such, they could create as many dollars for spending on the military as they needed. This meant that the USA Army became unbeatable, and as they were the enforcement arm of the bank gangsters, any country that stepped out of line would be very quickly disciplined and brought back into line. Countries that come to mind are countries like Libya, Iraq, Syria. Great examples of how the USA used their military might. Guys, these countries all went against the bank gangsters and they all suffered the wrath of the USA military. The fact that India, China, Russia, Brazil, South Africa and Saudi Arabia are creating a world reserve currency, a new world reserve currency to replace the petrodollar, and that they're willing to go against the directives issued to them by the bank gangsters shows us, guys, the bank gangsters are almost defeated. There's a link in the comments below which will help you understand this. Saudi Arabia also rejects the fake Biden's request for oil. The fact, guys, that the fake Biden failed to get Saudi Arabia to increase production of oil is also another massive indicator of just how defeated the bank gangsters are. The fake US President Biden failed to get oil during his recent trip to the Middle East, even though, guys, he went with a begging bowl in his outstretched hand. Remember that when Nixon, back in 1971, when Nixon took the USA off the gold standard, which was only meant to be for 2 weeks, which now turned into 52 years, the reason for that was to stabilize the USA dollar. Henry Kissinger also got Saudi Arabia at the time to agree to only sell their oil for the petrodollar in exchange for the protection of the USA Army. Kissinger also promised to keep the House of Saud in power using the might of the USA Army. Guys, this was the catalyst which stopped the run on the US dollar in the 70s and what sparked the 70s oil crisis. This, combined with the power of the USA Army, which was the enforcement arm of the cabal, meant that all countries agreed to toe the line and accept the petrodollar as the world reserve currency. The fact that Biden has failed to get oil from Saudi Arabia and that Saudi Arabia is also joining the BRICS nations means that the countdown to the implosion of the United States as the enforcement arm of the bank gangsters has begun. Can you hear it? Tick, tick. We're getting closer every single day. It also means that the bank gangster strongholds within France, Germany, and the UK are not far behind, and they too are going to fail very, very soon. We believe that revolution is in the air, with most countries smelling the blood in the water as the bank gangsters become more and more marginalized. There will be no turning back, as countries who lived in fear of the US military now see a path to a world free from the bank gangsters and the US dominance of the world. Iran has also seen the blood in the water, and they too are no longer playing along with Biden and his handlers. Saudi Arabia's ambassador to Washington summed up the opinion of the region, calling the oil for security paradigm very outdated and reductionist. The absence of weapons for oil means the absence of oil for the United States and all of their clients. The absence of oil means the death of all economic activity and the ending of the funding for the bank gangsters. Meanwhile, the same bank gangsters, like the dying beast they are, continue to try to sow fear by threatening to once again use their biological weapons such as monkeypox and threats of war in a desperate attempt to prevent the inevitable. However, the agenda of their medical mafia is breaking down really fast as more and more people see through their lies and their attempts at using fear to manipulate all of us into following their sick agendas. We've written a very comprehensive article below which explains all of this in great detail. There are also numerous references and background information, guys, which will support all of our contentions. But like I said previously, guys, I want you to challenge everything. Don't believe a single word that we say. I want you to challenge everything. I want you to research it. And if you do come up with a different construct, please don't fight and attack us. Guys, we need to stand together now. Please don't attack us. Rather share your ideas. Let's talk and let's learn from each other.